Hello there, this is Dave Allen for EV 20 Questions, and I want to talk to you about my last trip up to France. I went to La Jonquera. I wanted to go to the shopping centre there because, well, it was on the way towards going to France, and while at the shopping centre we was able to go and have some food in a nice little place where it's a big place actually. It's a buffet style restaurant. You pay €17 and you can go in and eat as much as you like, and you even get refills of your drinks as well, which is kind of nice. And while we were in the shopping centre at La Jonquera, I thought, well, we're here, let's plug the car in and get some charge in the car while we're doing it, because we're going to be eating we'll be there for about an hour and a half with going to the shops and stuff as well. So I thought, this will be really good, won't it? Except it didn't really work out that way. I got back to the car, and after I'd been plugged in for all that time there, no charge had actually gone into the car. And I don't know what was going wrong, or I think I do now. I mean, I think it was the sockets in the building or the shopping centre that weren't working. So we were planning to go up towards a little village called Surette, because there's an art gallery there. I thought it'd be a nice place to go to. But the charger that they've got at that place there is only a very slow charge. It only puts in at like 3 kilowatts, which is really sort of poor, you know. Although it's rated as 22 kilowatts on the app that comes with that particular Revio charger. I have tried using it before, and that's what I experienced before with 3 kilowatts, and I wasn't very pleased. I took the plugs out of the sockets of the car, started again, plugged it all back in again, and watched for the blue lights on the dash to make sure that the charger was coming in. Saw the blue light on the charger, and after about 30 seconds to a minute, then it all sort of stopped and it went back to green again, and there was no charge coming in the car. So I don't know what was going wrong. Something to do with the shopping centre, I think. I thought, well, if I go up there, I've got 39% of the battery now. By the time I got up there, it's going to be sort of down at around 10% perhaps, and that's not going to leave me much for getting back, and it's not going to leave me it's going to leave me having to wait hours before I can get fully charged, or enough charge in there to be able to get back to where I can get to a rapid charger. So I decided against that, and the other possibility was to drive on towards Perpignan. I could have made it to Perpignan to the Nissan dealer, and I could have charged up there. They were going to be open. I wasn't sure if they were going to be up because it was a Saturday afternoon. I thought, gosh, they might be closed. Anyway, we rang them up and they said they was going to be open, so I thought, no, I don't really sort of want to risk that either, because I got my wife in the car, my mother-in-law was in the car, and if things didn't go wrong, I was going to end up on the flatbed of shame, and we didn't want that either. So I thought, no, I was feeling a bit tired in it. Well, I mean, you know what it's like when you've eaten a whole pile of stuff, you feel tired afterwards. So I thought, oh, let's just go back home anyway. So headed back towards Figueres. Now in Figueres, there's 2 chargers within the town there that the gentlemen to put there, which are okay to use. I've used both of them before, they work. And there's a charger at the Nissan dealer as well. So I thought, well, we'll try one of the ones in town again, because I haven't been to one of those for a while there, and I used one which is at there's a nice little sort of square there. It'd be great in the summertime when they've finished working on it, and you can sort of have a sit in the shade and stuff while the car's doing its charging. There's not much else around there, or I suppose you could sort of just, you know, have a bit of more of a wander further afield while the car is charging, but you're only going to be at that charger for a half an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes anyway, so maybe it's not long enough to be going someplace to go and find somewhere where you could use facilities, get something to eat or a drink or whatever else. So anyway, we got to this, that's the one we went to. So we got there, and there was a car there charging. Now I thought, oh well, it's not too bad, it's using the AC charger, so I'll be able to use the CHAdeMO and be able to put some charge into the car anyway, so no problem. So the only thing is that when there's another car charging and it's on the AC, it does limit the amount of juice that goes to the CHAdeMO or to the CCS. If someone else is using the CCS, then you're kind of stuffed, because you won't do 2 DC charges at the same time. So I plugged in, I thought, well, I'll try anyway. I plugged in, I was only getting 21 kilowatts. Now, 21 kilowatts in the normal sort of state of affairs at the end of the day, and you're sort of wanting to have a bit of a longer sort of break and go off and do something and get something to do, it'd be okay. But I wanted to charge it faster than that, so I decided I wasn't going to bother. I was going to go and try one of the other ones. And the next one I went to was the charger at the Nissan dealership. And I say it's a good place to go to. The facilities are nice and clean there. Got a lot of charge into the car, enough charge to be able to drive all the way home. And I didn't even have to think about stopping in Girona. In fact, I probably should have stayed there for about 20 minutes and that would have been sufficient, except thought, well, I'll have a little bit of a rest. And I put my head back and just hoped that my wife and my mother-in-law were going to stay quiet in the car while I had a rest. And they did, so it was okay. So that was that. I drove home and everything was great. Plugged in the car in the Type 2 charger back at the house, and it charged up overnight. So the next day I 100%ed the battery and no problems with charging. I did think at one point that it might have been something to do with the timer. That the timer only is the operation on a Type 2 charger when I'm at home. You can set it so that the timer will actually only work from whatever time you set it when you're away from home as well if you want to, but I didn't want that. So anytime I'm away from home I can charge up and the timer's not going to bother me. So I did think that there was a possibility of that, so I did check the system anyway just to make sure that I hadn't sort of fiddled with some switches and switched that on or off by mistake. So that was that. Today what I'm doing is I'm just going out for a drive in the car because it was cold in the house. My feet were freezing off and I wanted to get out for a drive anyway. So what I'm going to do is just go to the supermarket for a quick trip to the supermarket, and while I'm there I'm going to plug in and do another test of a Type 2 charger while I'm out and about. The other thing is that while I was out driving, the car told me that one of the car tyres was down to 1.7 bar on the air pressure, and so I had to stop and get the little pump that's in the back there and pump up the car tyre with it to bring it up to back up to 2.2 as the rest of them are. And while I was looking there, the details on the car, it said that I should really be driving at 2.5 bar. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go to some place or other. I'll probably wait to get home. In fact, I've got a pump at home, one of those big sort of compressor things. I'll use the compressor and I'll pump the tyres up and the thing at home. The only thing is that the gauge on that one at home isn't very reliable, so I'll have to use something else just to measure it, and then I'll be able to just make sure I get it all of them at 2.5, and I'll be golden, as they say, just golden. So anyway, this is Dave Allen for EV 20 Questions. Just have a bit of a chat about my Nissan Leaf and my day out on Saturday with doing some charging or not doing some charging, as the case may be. Bye now, talk to you again soon.